What's up, friends? It's Tess. This is Wander Wealthy, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how I use Betterment as an investment service provider. Someone asked me to do this video, and I couldn't figure out why I'd never done it before because I love Betterment. And today I'm going to share with you first what Betterment is, some of the pros and cons, why I'm considering moving some of my investments with Betterment to a different investment option, and also give you a behind-the-scenes look of my Betterment account and how I'm personally using it. Now, full disclosure and disclaimer, remember that this is purely for general informational purposes only. I want to give you an inside look of how I use Betterment, but you need to remember that you have to go about investing in your own way, understanding your own personal situation, and potentially working with a professional who can help you figure out the best way to invest your own money. So whether that's with a financial planner or working with a financial coach using a robo-advisor, a standard brokerage account, or some other type of financial investment tool, that is what you have to choose on your own terms. What I'm going to show you with the behind the scenes and how I use Betterment is not necessarily how you should use Betterment or any other investment tool. And if you do see any specific investments, just know that those are not personal recommendations for me. I didn't even actually choose them because Betterment chooses the investments for me, but I think it's necessary for me to say that you have to really pick your own goals, your own allocations, your own service provider, and go from there. Now with that, I do think Betterment is a really great option, and I'm going to share all of the pros on why I love the platform. And if you want to support me, support my channel, you can always sign up for Betterment if this does interest you by going to wanderwealthy.com/Betterment. I'll leave a link in the description box below. It's my affiliate link. They pay me for referring you, but it's at no additional cost to you whatsoever. It's just to support Wander Wealthy. If you're not ready to sign up for Betterment quite yet, you're still working on getting there, then you can support me by hitting the subscribe button and the little bell so you can be notified when I upload more videos and just continue to be in this community. All right, for those of you who have sat through this whole thing and you're still like, I have no idea what Betterment is a robo-advisor, or in their terms, a automated and online financial advisor. They use computers and machine learning to invest your money in a way that is appropriate for you based on the timeline of your goals and the risk that you are comfortable taking on. Here are some of the reasons I personally have been using Betterment for the last 5 years and why I love it. First of all, the interface is super user-friendly, and it's really easy to just connect your bank account and start automating your investments into a place that's going to start building on your money instead of keeping all your money in a checking or a savings account. Second, Betterment's investment philosophy is really in line with my own, meaning that they invest in ETFs, which mimic the market. So they're really trying to take my money and invest it and spread it across the entire market as a whole, and make sure that the allocations, the types of assets they invest in, are risk adjusted based on my personal goals, the timeline of those goals, and how much risk I'm actually willing to take on. Third is you can set up separate accounts with Betterment based on your goals. It's really a goals-based investment platform. So if I have a goal to retire someday, then I'll have one goal set up where any money invested in that goal will be invested a specific way. But I can have a different goal set up that maybe it's something I want to achieve in the next 7 years. And the asset allocation of your investments for a goal you want to achieve in 7 years would be very different than the one you would probably have for a long-term goal like retiring rich someday. So I can invest my money separately. One chunk of cash can go to my long-term goal and one chunk of cash can go to my medium-term goals, and Betterment will completely automate and take care of it on their terms. I don't even have to worry about it. The next reason I love Betterment is all of their automating capabilities. So first, you can automatically invest in your investments from your bank account just by connecting it and setting up the automation. Second, they're going to automatically invest this money into the appropriate asset allocation that you need for each individual goal. Third, they're going to automatically rebalance. So let's say, and this is getting a little detailed, but bear with me, let's say you need to be 50% invested in stocks and 50% invested in bonds, but the market market decides to go a little crazy one day and all of a sudden your allocation is 60% in stocks and 40% in bonds. Well, Betterment will look at that and know that you need to be 50-50, so they'll sell some of your stocks in order to buy some bonds and you'll be rebalanced just right. Betterment is automatically selling high and buying low for you, which if you're an investment junkie or if you know anything about investing, it's probably that investors always win when they buy low and sell high. The other cool automation that Betterment provides is tax loss harvesting. Now, I'm not going to get into the details because it can get really complicated, but essentially they see some opportunities for you to sell some losses to offset your tax liability, and that can save you some good money during tax season. Okay, the final reason I think Betterment is really awesome is because their fees are so low. They do still charge fees that are higher than some other places you could keep your money, but for working with essentially a financial advisor, just without a face, you're paying way less in fees than you would otherwise when working with a financial advisor. Their management fees are 0.25%, when industry average with working with a financial advisor or some of the top dog mutual funds is going to be anywhere from 1% to 2% and sometimes even higher. Okay, now for the downside, or some reasons why I may be considering switching from Betterment, or just some reasons why maybe you might not want to use Betterment. First of all, it's really hands-off, so you don't necessarily get to pick specifically what you're invested in, and if that's something you want to have control over, using Betterment as an investment platform is not going to allow you to do that. This is one of the reasons why I may be switching some of my long-term goals out of Betterment and into a different type of broker or a different platform that doesn't charge any fees at all. Just because then I can pick the individual ETFs or index funds that I want to be invested in, and it also just gives me experience and the capabilities to play around with my own investments. Secondly, you're still paying a fee that could be considerably higher than an alternative. Now again, if you don't feel comfortable investing your own money and picking the allocations and the specific ETFs or index funds that you're going to be invested in, then I still think paying 0.25% is so cheap for having an expert essentially invest your money for you. And you can even pay a little bit more to get on the phone with one of Betterment's advisors. I think it's 0.4%, so it's still considerably lower. The third thing is, although tax loss harvesting is really awesome and a really cool tool that Betterment provides, if not all of your investments are within Betterment, it can be a little bit more of a daunting task to make sure that you're not breaking any laws or gonna get in trouble with the IRS when you turn tax loss harvesting on. For that reason, I don't actually turn tax loss harvesting on because I do invest in other brokerage accounts and in other ways just because it's the nature of my job, and so I don't get to use it, so then it kind of contradicts the pro for me specifically. All in all though, I do think Betterment is a really amazing platform, especially for people who are just getting started with investing. Like I said, I've been using Betterment for the past 5 years, and when I was right out of college, I wasn't really ready to manage my own investments, rebalance, check in, even know really what I should be invested in. I just knew that Betterment was a really good choice for me at the time, and that's why I opened up accounts with Betterment and continue to use them. I also will personally continue to use Betterment for some of my medium-term goals, in which those asset allocations are going to be considerably different than asset allocations I may personally want to be managing on my own, and that would be more of my long-term wealth building goals. So that's a little summary on what Betterment is, some of the pros and cons, and now I'm going to take you behind the screen to see how I personally use Betterment, what sort of goals I have set up in there, and just give you a feel for what Betterment is like. This is the Betterment Dashboard. It is what you see when you log in. Basically what you have is all of your accounts on the side, except this Smart Saver thing is new. I don't actually have this account, but they just put it there for some reason. You also get announcements from Betterment of opportunities you could be taking advantage of. Down here, I've blurred it out, but it's my net worth, my total Betterment balance, the total earnings I've made, and the total money that has been harvested, which for me is 0. All right, scrolling down, on the same dashboard home screen, you have your goals all displayed for you here. So again, I don't know why they put this on here because I don't have a Smart Saver account, but they just added it and are acting like I do have one, which is confusing. But it's $0 over here, which again, I've blurred out the dollar figures just because privacy for now. If you get into my money program I'm pretty sure you get to see those numbers. So I have a handful of different goals, and some of them I set up like right away when I started my career. And now it's kind of interesting, the story behind them. But basically, I use Betterment largely for goals-based investing. And that's pretty much what it is. It's a platform that lets you set a goal, set a timeline on that goal, and then invest for that goal and make sure that those investments are allocated wisely so that it matches the risk of how much time you have left until you reach that goal and your own personal appetite for risk. So my build wealth goal is a long-term goal. I really shouldn't have set it up when I did, and I really shouldn't have been investing in it when I did. I wish I would have taken full advantage of my 401k that I had at the time and just invested in that, because I could obviously save a lot more money for taxes. But I, didn't really know any better. So I was investing in my 401k, but then I also invested additional money into this build wealth account. So it's a long-term goal, but it's not a tax advantaged account, which means I'm going to be, paying more in taxes over the long term. Now I currently invest in it because I no longer have a 401k and I have a SEP IRA and a Roth IRA. There are obviously maximums to your Roth IRA, $5,500 a year as of 2018. And then my SEP IRA, I can only contribute up to, I believe it's 25% of the profit that my business makes. So I have limits there. And if I want to invest even more into my future, I have to do it through a taxable account. There are ways I can get around it. At this point in my life, I'm not comfortable going about that. But if I do start, getting really serious about early retirement or something, I may consider that. So this is long-term. Betterment basically just takes my money and invests it with an allocation that is specific for my target end date, when I want to be able to get this money out, and how much risk I'm willing to bear with this money. Then I set up an initial investment property account. Here's the deal. This is likely going to change. I may not buy an investment property in the future. This could turn into a new to me used car, pay it out in cash account. There's lots of opportunities for this account, but I just set it up initially thinking, maybe I'll buy an investment property in the future and I want to save for a down payment. So I set up a goal. This is a medium-term goal, so it's about 7 years out. And Betterment takes my money that I contribute to this account and they divide it up based on the 7-year timeline instead of a long-term 30+ year timeline. And they also take into account my risk appetite for this specific goal. Then we have my retirement section. I don't know why my SEP IRA isn't rolled into here, but it's not for some reason. Right now, all my retirement accounts are with Betterment, except for my old 401k that actually is still at my old employer. I'm planning on rolling that over into a traditional IRA. So with Betterment, I have a Roth IRA and I have my SEP IRA. And like I said, there are limits on how I can invest with this, but essentially, these also mimic my build wealth account in the sense that they are long-term. So Betterment is taking my money that I'm contributing there and allocating it properly for my risk and that long-term timeline. And finally, I actually do have a safety net account. Now, I was hating on this Smart Saver earlier. I'm not really a fan of putting all of my savings into investments. They make the case that, you could earn 20 times more because we can give you a higher interest rate than what you're getting in savings. But my online bank and the savings I have through my online bank are actually pretty high interest rates. And at the same time, I'm not really focused on earning interest in my savings account because those are short-term goals. So maybe I'll earn $10 a year, but that really doesn't make a difference to me. I'm not a fan of this Smart Saver. However, I did want to put my safety net away into an investment account. And this is kind of an experiment that I'm doing right now. I'm not fully committed, but I'm going to try it out for a year. Reason being is if I pull my money out, I could get taxed on short-term capital gains. So I might as well wait a year so I can get long-term capital gains tax if I do make any money in this account. But this account is really set up to be super safe. So I may not make a ton, but I should be able to make more than what I would get in my savings account. Now, with that said, I have a really large safety net. I wanted to have 12 months of my fixed living expenses that I need to be able to pay out so I can just live my life, be able to make sure my mortgage is covered and all those required adulting things. And for me, it's 12 months because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm self-employed. I only depend on myself for a paycheck, and that is not guaranteed month to month. It's really important for me to have this safety net. Now, with that said, I actually keep 3 months in my actual savings account that I use on the regular, and then the other 9 months go into this safety net account. And again, I wanted to open up the possibility that I could make more interest than what I have in my savings account, especially because emergency savings is an ongoing savings goal. So I need to make sure I have enough available for me to use, but I likely won't use all of my 1 year of savings in 1 year. I mean, I might someday if things are really bad, but hopefully I don't have to use all that. So I do want to at least have some money be put to work for me a little bit harder than what it would be doing in my savings account, while still having 3 months of readily available funds in that account. We wanted to show you what it looks like to go inside one of these goals, where they're going to properly manage it for the end date that I have on this plan. So the initial investment property for me is about a 7-year goal, and I want to have a certain amount saved by the end of 7 years. If you scroll down, you can check out your auto deposits. This is actually really simple to use. You just have your bank account linked, and then it will take the automatic deposits depend on what you set. I have a certain dollar amount set. You can choose whatever you want, and then you can choose the frequency. So every other Friday or monthly on the 1st and the 15th would line up with most everyone's paychecks, or you can customize it to weekly, monthly, twice a month, or every other week. I have it on monthly, and I take it out on the 15th, although you can pick any date up to the 28th so that it corresponds with February. The other things within the goals that are really cool to see is, first of all, you can make a quick deposit here or roll over or transfer from a different Betterment account, which is super easy to do. And then you can dig into your plan. You'll see that I have a target of $20,000 in 5 years. And they're saying that I'm appropriately aggressive. I actually selected what I wanted to be investing in. I believe you can change this, and they have some examples of what you might want to be saving for. Mine is a major purchase, and then I believe I specified that it was going to be a house, but you could also save for education, safety net, general investing, and retirement. And through Betterment, you can set up, as you've seen for me, I have a SEP IRA and a Roth IRA. You can set up a traditional IRA, and they might have some other tax-advantaged retirement options for accounts to invest through. Or obviously this and my Build Wealth account are taxable accounts, as well as my safety net. But you can see how on track I am compared to what I want to be in 5 years. And it'll show you all these different options, from the average outcome to how much I need to make in deposits to different probabilities of where I could be. You know, I could potentially be at 18,000, or I could be at 40,000, but I'm most likely going to be around 20,000 because they are looking at their own data and they're also investing my money based on their own data. You can always update your goal settings, so you can push out the timeline. You can choose to put in a one-time deposit. You can adjust your monthly deposit, and then we can go in further to look at other options. So portfolio analysis will give you a view of how much I'm invested in stocks versus bonds. Betterment has their own recommendation, and then you can allocate it based on your own risk appetite. Down here, they actually say our recommendation is 46% in stocks, and then I adjusted it to 50% because that's what I wanted to do. So I'll show you how you can easily do that. And again, this is completely based on my own appetite for risk, based on my own timelines. When you are making your own investments, whether it's through Betterment or a different platform, you have to go based on what is appropriate for you. Now back to this, you can set your own risk level. So I set it at 50-50, but I could turn it up and be way more aggressive. They will give a recommendation that this is too aggressive, or I could turn it down and they will say, okay, this is very conservative. If I go with their recommendation, they're saying my overall risk is moderate, but I notched it up to 50%, and they go, okay, it's appropriately aggressive. It's on the aggressive end, but it's appropriately aggressive. So you can choose to do that for your allocations, and then you would just submit it and save everything. Lastly, there's the holdings. So Betterment will tell you what you're actually invested in based on what they're using your money for to invest in. And then you can also see the activity. There's a bunch of different transaction types. So if you're wondering, how much have I invested throughout this year or since I started this portfolio, you can can always just select deposits and unselect everything else. Then you can just choose the timeline and see how much you've invested. And then of course you can see your performance. It gives you lots of details on the return that you've seen and any other information that you want to see. I'm not going to get into the details, but you can obviously play around with that too. So lots of options, lots of education, lots of ways that you can find information about your investments. And with that, that's pretty much how I use Betterment. The accounts I have set up that I'm playing around with right now, again, my job is to experience different brokerages, different robo-advisors, different financial tools. And so although Betterment is my main one, I do use some other ones. And really, at the end of the day, you have to find out what's going to be best for you. All right, I hope that gave you a really good idea of how I use Betterment and how maybe you could be using Betterment too. To reiterate, I really love Betterment, and I think that the way that it provides access to investing in a really wise way for people who don't feel comfortable with investments at all, at least if they were to do it themselves, that is why Betterment and these other robo-advisors and lower barrier to entry products are so great. And Betterment is one of the lowest cost and best ways to do that. If you're interested in signing up for Betterment, remember I do have a referral link. You can go to wanderwealthy.com/betterment. And although you don't need to know a ton about investing in order to invest successfully through Betterment, I do think it's still really important to learn about investing in general. So if you're ready to just start understanding even the way Betterment is investing your money, you can sign up for my Investing 101 email course at wanderwealthy.com/invest. I'll send you 8 emails over the course of 10 days and give you a really good crash course on how index investing works and how it's a really good strategy for you to build wealth into the future. And it's the philosophy that Betterment uses, so then it can align with what you know. All right, I'm gonna leave you with that. All of the links are going to be in the description box below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have questions or recommendations for more videos for me to create, especially as it revolves around investing, I would love to know. Comment below, let me know, and until next time, I hope you wander wealthy. Bye!